the makeup of our legislative bodies. However, we have Democrats elected statewide across the state of Montana. And of course, this is all rooted in a very progressive history of Montana. You know, we're not really a right-wing state, despite our reputation, you know, that's been gained over some of the recent decades. We have a very progressive history. I think we're back to building upon that. And, you know, the death penalty certainly is one indication of that.
You are the first openly gay state senator. I wanted to ask you about same-sex marriage. In Vermont, the legislature, for the first time in the country, has just passed, by overriding the Republican governor's veto, same-sex marriage. What's happening here in Montana?
We had a civil unions bill that that came before the House, and it actually died on a tie vote in the House chambers, or in committee, I believe. And, you know, for the past dozen years at least, there have been gay rights measures brought to the legislature, whether they're anti-discrimination measures or hate crimes protection, that sort of thing. We have had, this is the second time. I brought a civil unions bill once a number of years ago. Again, they don't get very far, but they have a good hearing, and I think every time we at the Human Rights Network, you know, try to move that issue, we gain supporters. I think we win a little bit more in the public opinion, and there was recent polling in Montana saying Montanans support not gay marriage, but some kind of relationship recognition for gay couples. And so again, I think we're building on that. I'm certainly excited about what's happened in Iowa and Vermont and other places across the country.
You are head of the Montana Human Rights Network. It might interest people to know how the Montana legislature works. How can you do that and also be a state senator? And can you talk about issues of, well, we've been traveling through Idaho and Montana, the issue of far-right groups, white supremacist groups?
Well, I guess, you know, in terms of the far-right organizations, I've already lost the first part of your question.
Oh, the question was just how you can be head of this network and also a state senator.
Good place to start. It's a very part-time job to be a state senator. It's not a profession here in Montana. We meet 90 days every 2 years. I simply need to take a leave of absence from the Human Rights Network to, you know, go to the legislature, and then we have interim committees, you know, during the 2-year period of time. But everybody in the Montana legislature has another job, unless they're retired, of course. And so it's very much a citizens' legislature. People have good access to us because of that. They know us in our regular lives, and so I have always believed, as a senator, that it was just another step in my activist career. Instead of trying to be up there convincing legislators how to vote, I decided I could take a shot at running for office and actually push the red or the green buttons myself. And as a lobbyist, I thought of so many times when I just wanted the person I was working with to say just the right thing. And so now I'm in a position where if my head is on right, I can say just the right thing. And so I see it very much as an extension of activism. And so I take a leave of absence. I go back to the Human Rights Network. Mm-hmm. And regarding the other part of your question, you're right. We have been working, our beginnings really were about the white supremacist movement in Montana. We're a broad-based human rights organization, and we started by examining, you know, the Aryan Nations organization was active in the northern part of Idaho, lots of spillover into Montana. And so we tracked that throughout the 90s with the rise of the militia movement, which was also very active in Montana, and the Freeman standoff that people may remember back in the late 90s, I believe. And I think we see a bit of resurfacing of that today, and it's being fueled somewhat by the fact that we have a black president, unfortunately. But we see, I think, the beginning of the rise of more organized white supremacist activity in Montana.
Well, I want to thank you, Montana State Senator Christine Kaufmann, joining us here in Bozeman, Montana. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. When we come back, we'll be joined by Doug and Andrea Peacock. Doug Peacock has written Walking It Off, a veteran's chronicle of war and wilderness. And together, Doug and Andrea Peacock have written The Essential Grizzly, the mingled fates of men and bears. Stay with us.